Assalamualaikum and welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Foreign Office. Let me begin this briefing with Prime Minister Imran Khan's recent visit to Sri Lanka at the invitation of his Sri Lankan counterpart, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. This was the first visit by Prime Minister Imran Khan since the formation of new governments in the two countries. This was also the first visit to Sri Lanka by any foreign head of government under the COVID-19 related health safety protocols after the outbreak of the pandemic. The visit was marked by exceptional warmth and cordiality. On arrival at Bandra Naike International Airport, Colombo, the Prime Minister was received by Prime Minister of Sri Lanka along with members of the cabinet and senior officials. A 19-gun salute was provided, followed by a guard of honor. During the visit, the Prime Minister held one-on-one meetings and delegation-level talks with the President of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The two sides held wide-ranging discussions with focus on reinforcing a broad-based and enduring bilateral partnership to advance the shared objectives of peace, stability, and economic prosperity in South Asia. The two sides agreed on deeper collaboration in diverse fields, particularly agriculture, tourism, science and technology, sports, education, culture, defense and security. Highlighting the need to broaden the existing free trade agreement between the two countries, the two sides stressed the need for achieving $1 billion bilateral trade target. A high-level Pakistan Sri Lanka Trade and Investment Conference was also held to explore new avenues for enhancing trade and investment between Pakistan and Sri Lanka. The conference was co-chaired by the Prime Ministers of the two countries. Pakistan reaffirmed its support to Sri Lanka in the field of defense by providing training and equipment. A new $50 million defense credit line facility to Sri Lanka by Pakistan was also announced during the visit. The Prime Minister also offered 100 scholarships in the field of medicine for MBBS and BDS degrees as part of Pakistan-Sri Lanka Higher Education Cooperation Program. The Speaker of the Sri Lankan Parliament and the Minister of Youth and Sports hosted a high-profile event to pay tribute to Prime Minister Imran Khan as a cricket legend. On the occasion, the Prime Minister commissioned a high-performance sports center also in Colombo. He offered Rs 52 million for promotion of sports in Sri Lanka. To further strengthen parliamentary cooperation between the two sides, the Sri Lanka-Pakistan Parliamentary Friendship Group was also reconstituted. Appreciating the rich Buddhist heritage of Pakistan, the two sides agreed to enhance cooperation in the field of tourism and culture. The Pakistan side also announced its initiative of establishing Asian Civilization and Culture Center at the University of Peradeniya in Kandy, Sri Lanka. Underscoring the need to enhance regional cooperation, the two sides reiterated their commitment to the principles and objectives of the SAARC Charter. Prime Minister Imran Khan also emphasized the importance of resolving disputes through dialogue and promoting the vision of peace, progress, and prosperity in South Asia and beyond. In the context of regional connectivity, Prime Minister Imran Khan highlighted the opportunities presented by China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a flagship project of Belt and Road Initiative for regional economic growth and prosperity. The visit of Prime Minister Imran Khan will help further strengthen ties between Pakistan and Sri Lanka as special friends and strong partners. During the last week, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi held important meetings regarding the Afghan peace process. The Foreign Minister received Russian President's Special Envoy for Afghanistan, Ambassador Zamir Kabulov, Special Envoy of the Foreign Minister of the State of Qatar, and Afghan President Special Envoy Mohammad Umar Daudzai. During these meetings, matters of mutual interest with special focus on the Afghan peace process were discussed. In his meeting with Ambassador Zamir Kabulov, Foreign Minister Qureshi underscored that both Pakistan and Russia have convergence of views on an inclusive political settlement of the conflict in Afghanistan. Talking to Special Envoy of the Foreign Minister of the State of Qatar, the Foreign Minister appreciated Qatar's positive and constructive efforts as the host of US-Taliban talks that culminated in peace agreement and the subsequent intra-Afghan negotiations. In his meeting with the Afghan President's Special Envoy, the Foreign Minister noted the recent high-level visits between the two sides and hoped that these exchanges would help further strengthen bilateral cooperation between the two sides. During all these meetings, the Foreign Minister reiterated Pakistan's long-standing commitment to peace in Afghanistan. He reaffirmed Pakistan's continued support for the intra-Afghan negotiations, which provide a historic opportunity for establishment of durable peace and stability in Afghanistan and the region. Foreign Secretary Suhail Mahmood addressed the high-level segment of the Conference on Disarmament in Geneva in a virtual format. In his address, the Foreign Secretary reaffirmed the significance Pakistan to the Conference on Disarmament as a vital organ of the multilateral security architecture. Voicing concern on the negative developments in the international security landscape, which were also casting their shadows in South Asia, the Foreign Secretary called upon outside players to be mindful of their responsibility not to accentuate military imbalance in the region through policies of waivers and exceptions to rules governing transfer of advanced technologies. The Foreign Secretary underscored the need for the UN disarmament forums to be alive to the prevailing global realities and adapt their agendas to deal with the threats posed to global and regional stability by new and emerging technologies. We have yet another positive development in our fraternal cooperation and ties with Niger. In keeping with its long and proud tradition of providing humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, a Pakistan Navy ship PNS Nasser arrived at Cotonou port of Benin today, traversing over 8,000 nautical miles. The ship has carried 1,000 metric tons of rice as relief assistance for the brotherly people of Niger. This gunboat philanthropy initiative of Pakistan Navy will further strengthen the long-standing bonds of friendship between Pakistan and Niger. Now coming to the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the flagrant human rights violations in IIOJK once again resonated at the 46th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council. In his address at the Human Rights Council, the Minister for Human Rights highlighted the unprecedented military siege, gross human rights violations, and systematic use of arbitrary imprisonment. Dr. Shiri Mazari highlighted the BJP government's efforts to change the demographic structure of the occupied territory aimed at converting the Kashmiris into a minority in their own land in violation of international law, particularly the 4th Geneva Convention. In his address at the Human Rights Council, the Foreign Minister of Turkey called upon India to resolve the Jammu and Kashmir dispute as per the UN resolutions and wishes of the Kashmiri people. The Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Conference also highlighted the human rights situation in IIOJK and urged the international community to upscale its efforts towards settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. The resonance of egregious human rights violations in IIOJK at the UN Human Rights Council shall serve as another reminder to India of its international obligations. With this, I thank you and I'm happy to take any questions.